one last star note, unison note. Not even a star. Nah, just a unison note. Uh, I'm thinking now about that emulation that we are talking about earlier, where you can back recollect the graphical user interface intercept for which you find most true to how you like things. And so you can have cross sliders affected of actual version control updates of what types of software had changed, or how the change is laid out. And those little quanti of changes could be cross-distributed as a graphical user interface of compression format, or a formula of how to cost effectively transfer that to where you have just one. It's bright now, I'm sorry, I'm getting my light fatigued eyes now at 1 in the morning. I'm thinking to myself, though, this system could then work on all the different operating systems in the bash script, execute them of the internet, intercept logic, who's done so far the bash scripting of operational intercept. And so then, branching out from there through things like Apache and or OG Mariah, the database cluster that was long before frickin' Oracle took them over, the Corp district that couldn't hide any other logical way to take over. I don't know. What I'm thinking about, though, is settings, and what seems to be what Apple's doing about trying to slice down settings into a various, what works, and how can we then cross-address that in a formula such that our computers are CAD reconditioned based off of the material structure itself to be an antenna when you scan through basically a dynamic phase array architecture of radial intercept to where it currently resides, a formula of different levels of energy thoroughfares such that all of the devices quantize to levels of savings in a back channel update, such that all of them still have what they're used to, but they use a scientific formula for what they want to beam is more, what would you say, less visible, in a temporal circuit of gravitational wave transfer, such that the interlink of how long it takes to compute just isn't worth it. I don't know, is basically a part of the same overall navigational structure of why do I have to worry about that bubble boy? Way over there with all that protection. I don't know. So then that way when kids are just messing around, because when I was a kid I would be going in the back area and I was climbing trees and I was exploring, and my friend and I would throw rocks at each other and would practice our locomotion with some degree of need to focus, and that kind of made for an interesting tuning mechanism when going out into the real world, where I recognized that, what works is just being yourself and staying relaxed, and it's when people seize up that everybody either manipulates or takes opportunities to help coordinate until they figure out, this is going to cost this much in order to teach this lesson. It just seems like that's the logical avenue of what happens when you take up too much of one's time for the other person and just not even understand anymore. They can't even rationalize how the other individual can't, in that moment of shock or in that stress, compute that circuit any better. And so we have this avenue, just like sharing the load of reconditioning materials if we want to. If we don't have to. But then having that characteristic nature of that coordination, of credit back to the time where it cost on average that much to rationalize the frickin' gyroscopy of civil disorderly conduct in New Mexico on this dude? Investigate.